Hi, there we are again with a new recording of the Workplace Ninjas podcast. And still, we are in Almkerk at Hollywood, where we have our 10th years anniversary of the Workplace Ninjas Netherlands. And I have a few new people on the table. Peter is still here.
Yep. Hello.
Oh, you still here?
Yep.
Yeah, he's there. Yep. And we have Kenneth.
Yes. Hi.
From the Workplace Ninjas Netherlands crew.
Hi there.
And we have
Tim.
Tim
Hey guys.
is here. Tim de Keukelaere from Belgium.
From Belgium, yes, indeed. Yeah.
And what brings you today here in Almkerk?
Well, an early morning session, at the event today. So together with Ken Goossens, I gave a session on the topic of Windows Autopatch. So yeah, that's what is bringing me here today.
Yeah, and what is we have with the Workplace Ninjas Netherlands, we are a community in the Netherlands delivering knowledge to people. What is for you the most important thing to share your knowledge in this kind of communities?
Well, I think the most important thing is to be able to share real life experience. There's a thing, product knowledge and product awareness, but having experience how to implement it in different environments and having the ability to share that experience, to maybe announce a couple of pitfalls where people otherwise would definitely fall into. You can share this knowledge, this experience, and people go home, they try it in their own environment, and they skip a couple of steps, and they advance a lot quicker, of course.
Yeah. And we are trying to facilitate those people, Kenneth.
We definitely are, yeah.
We do another recording in Dutch about our 10th years anniversary. But this recording, we will dive into your session. What was your session all about this day?
So Windows Autopatch. So we really did, I think it's a little bit more than a year ago. It just had its 1 year anniversary. It's a cloud service from Microsoft, which basically... the main goal is to take away the burden from the IT admin to do the monthly patching. So I don't think a lot of IT admins are always looking forward to the second Tuesday of the month, the famous Patch Tuesday, where they can start selecting their patches and filtering out those who may be a troublesome patch, and then following up on the deployment, targeting the devices in different phases, looking into the reporting, and all that to start all over again in 4 weeks' time. So this is really the goal of that service, to take away that burden and free up time to do more interesting tasks.
Yeah. Do we already have experience with Windows Autopatch, Peter?
Not so much. I've enabled it in my tenant, so all my devices too are enrolled in Windows Autopatch, and it's basically set and forget. So that's pretty good.
Okay, you need to help me in my tenant to do as well. So
cool. Yeah, but it's basically it doesn't not only include the Windows patches, but Tim can enlighten us around that topic. But Windows, you can also get away with just adopting the servicing, the Windows servicing, the monthly updates. But Autopatch is much more than only Windows updates. It's called Windows Autopatch, but
because it's in the Windows family. But indeed, the what's under the umbrella, what it can handle from an updates perspective is a lot more. Of course, you mentioned Windows, the feature updates and the monthly quality updates, but also the M365 apps, which are common on I think almost every Windows device. Also things like Teams, things like the Edge browser. Bottom line, to summarize, anything that's published in the Windows Update catalog today can also be handled by the Windows Autopatch service. So that's quite a lot. Of course, only in the Microsoft world, but it's already covering quite a big base. Yeah.
Is there also, because firmwares and that kind of stuff is still coming with the Windows updates? Is that already covered?
So whatever is published in the catalog, but in our session this morning, Ken, who is a member of the product group for Autopatch, he gave a sneak peek. So next week, I think it's the official launch of the drivers and firmware capability from Microsoft. So they really are building on top of what is already available today and enhancing the capabilities. So
So really looking forward to that, because one of the hardest challenges in updating machines is the firmware and the BIOS updates.
Yeah, that's currently really lacking. It's all or nothing, and in a few weeks we get more control, more granular control, and that's something we are really missing.
Yeah.
But that's what I see. For example, historically, companies have gained a lot of knowledge and are putting a lot of attention in the Windows updates, but indeed, firmware drivers, and of course also the application stack. A lot of people overlook that, and that's also an attack surface, and you also need to pay attention to that. There was a question in the session this morning, does Autopatch cover third-party applications? And there the answer is no. But of course, there is Microsoft with their Intune suite, and one of the components in the Intune suite is Advanced App Management, which is now becoming available in this quarter, which will handle that as well, or at least it's a first iteration. So we do expect that will evolve and mature as well over time. But as you see, Microsoft is already also putting focus on that area. So,
yeah, we did a recording about update management within the workplace management series. One of the challenges that we had there, what we were facing, was the third-party applications.
Yep.
It's good to hear that instead of Autopatch, there are other mechanisms that will be available to manage that as well.
Yeah, and for me at least, for the advanced app management, that's not so much known. Yeah, there's a vision. It's a vision. So I'm really curious what's being shipped and
to get
how
some
we
hands-on
can use
experience.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
because there are a couple of good third-party vendors, sponsors of our user group, which are doing an awesome job in patching third-party apps. So I'm very curious if Microsoft is coming close or maybe go past them. So,
and also to find out how committed they are to keep the solution up and running.
And also don't forget the challenger, because in the Microsoft ecosystem, Microsoft is king of the hill, the ruler. But now you are entering an ecosystem with different partners. That means responsibilities, contractual things. I think the complexity behind the scenes for a third-party app management solution for Microsoft is a lot bigger than just the technology.
Yep.
When looking at Autopatch, I can turn it on in my environment. What are the biggest challenges for me?
Well, as Peter said, I think the stepping stone towards Windows Autopatch is really low. There are two big phases. There's really the onboarding in the Autopatch service, which you do through the Intune Admin Center. I know it's the 4 clicks analogy. It may be a little bit more, but it's really, really, really simple to set it up. So that's step number 1, onboarding into the Autopatch service. And step number 2 is, of course, registering your devices. Also, that from an IT admin perspective is an activity which can be done quite quickly. Of course, that onboarding process, what Microsoft is helping you to do is to make sure that when you onboard a device, that it can be properly managed and updated. So it does a lot of checks up front, and it's up to you, of course, to fix anything that, for example, a workload which is not correct or a device which is missing a service or something. It's you as an IT admin who has to fix that, of course. So there's some effort there.
And it will automatically create groups. It will automatically create the policies for you. Basically does everything. Right?
Now we have Autopatch groups, which is a new feature. Again, Autopatch is just past its 1-year anniversary. We've seen that on the 1st of May, they've released a new feature which is called Autopatch groups, which is basically a request from many customers to make it more granular, to be able to build deployment phases, deployment rings, things like that. So also there, it's up to you to decide how difficult do you want that to be. You can create up to in a specific Autopatch system, you can create up to 15 different staggered groups. Do you want to create 15? Do you maybe only need 3 or 4? My advice as a consultant is always try to keep it as simple as possible. And a common mistake that I see is that people look at what they have today and they try to one-on-one port it into this modern new cloud service. And that's not, in my opinion, the way to go. You have to simplify. This is an opportunity to simplify. So Microsoft gives you the opportunity to make it as simple as complex as you want. It's up to you to decide. But my advice would be try to keep it simple.
Anything from your end?
I have some experience with Autopatch, and one of the disadvantages, in my opinion, is the fact that it's not available for Business Premium for Windows Pro. So it's really targeted towards enterprise, which I do understand for certain for certain reasons, of course. And the other thing is, of course, the automatic creation of all kinds of groups and configuration, which doesn't always adhere to your current naming convention, which I see as an issue as well. But don't get me wrong, I do see the added value of the solution, especially because it's a set and forget solution. And we need more and more of that. Just set it once, and actually trust that from there on, actually the service will do what it needs to do.
Yeah, but I see another challenge. A lot of my customers adopted the user targeting. We come from SCCM where we targeted
Device-focused.
devices,
Yep.
and now with Autopatch we are back to device targeting. And a lot of my customers created, for instance, a pilot group based on users,
On
because
users, yeah.
they are often part of the IT department, and every day the new device is being shipped, a new model, and who's getting those devices? People from IT. So it's a bit hassle to maintain those device groups again, and by just targeting users, you don't have that issue at all.
No, indeed. And if you know Microsoft, they are, of course, doing something with that feedback. So
Yep.
just give it some iterations.
True.
And,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it will probably be fixed. And I think, especially we, of course, we know the product. We know how to do it manually as well. But this will really help companies which don't want to invest the time to really know how things are working under the hood, and just want to configure something once and depend on it to be available for years to come and work like that. And for that, it's actually a really nice solution. And Microsoft could do better, maybe on other fronts as well. We had a solution where you could actually use a wizard and it would automatically create security baselines. And
The guided scenarios.
The guided scenarios. And again, I wouldn't use it because I'm trained and I know how the product is being used. But there are so many companies out there, and maybe even the smaller companies, and therefore my remark on the business premium, who are not capable of doing that and don't hire the consultants having the full knowledge about the product. So but again, if we have these conversations in 2 years, I think many of those things will be different again.
Remember when there was a big fuzz in the beginning when Autopatch was released about the security and how the onboarding in the service was done. It was really against a couple of core principles that Microsoft recommends themselves for customers. If you see in those 12 months time, whatever they did to fix that, if you see the Autopatch features, indeed, a year from now, who knows what feedback is. One thing that I always say to my customers as well, it's impossible for you as an organization to have the amount of insights that Microsoft has. They have a cloud service which crosses different sectors, different sizes of enterprises, different hardware vendors, different models. I mean, the metrics and the intelligence that they have, you will never be able to have as a customer, as an organization yourself, but you can benefit it by subscribing to such a cloud service. And they will also inform you. That's their promise, that's their guarantee when you onboard into the service.
But they don't have an SLA, right? It's called an SLO.
It's an objective.
It's
not. The A and the O is, I think, a small detail which has quite some impact. But indeed, they say that. What is it? Is it 21 days? But in 21 days, they will patch your 95% of your estate that you've onboarded into the service.
And that became online, of course.
That came online, that were available. That one of the requirements is, for example, 6 hours of online time of a device. That's what they ask. Of course, if you have a device that's in a cupboard, I mean, patching over thin air, maybe that's in 10 years from now, but
still not.
No, but we do see that those are challenges that we face both when using Autopatch,
exactly.
but also when doing it manual. Many of my customers, when I come in, still have, at least in their Intune or Azure AD environment, very old machines registered. And that doesn't say that those machines are still being actively used, but it's a starting point to start cleaning up or actually hunt those machines and get them upgraded as soon as possible.
Well, that's one of the things Autopatch helps with, at least 1809 and higher. So if you have an 1809 version, which is actually already a pretty old version for Windows 10, but it's out of support. But you can onboard a device like that, or you can enroll it in Autopatch. It will automatically bring it up to the latest release from a feature update perspective. So, I mean, Well, one of the things that I wanted to mention is what I see at customers is that when you try to implement a product like this, I always see a tendency that they want to focus on the exceptions first. And I also mentioned it during the session. It's Autopatch will not fix your existing problems for you. If you have a device which is difficult to manage, I don't know, because there's a piece of hardware attached to it or because it's never online or whatever, by throwing it over the fence into the Autopatch, it's not going to fix it magically for you. So what I try to recommend my customers is like focus on the 90%, the regular machines, the office workers with your common line of business applications. focus on those, bring those into the service, and then look at what you want to do with those exceptions. Because if you do it the other way around, your Autopatch project will never take off. It'll take you months. You'll be around the meeting table day after day, but you won't have the implementation.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest. I shouldn't call it like a fault, but the longer experience you have with using the products, the harder it is to actually unlearn what you have done in the last couple of years and actually adopt a new way of thinking and managing devices. I think that's the hardest part of being in the Intune business today, especially when you are coming from a config manager world, where we used to have total control over what, when, and how to say so. And now, again, Pete already mentioned it, it's more a set and forget. You set it once, and then you trust the process. And giving trust to a process is really hard, to do.
Yeah, but on the other hand, if we don't have Autopatch, we have the update rings within Intune. We need to configure, and that is more challenging than only put on a service like Autopatch. But on the other hand, last question.
Well, Frans, to add to that, we actually have a session about that later today.
Yeah.
So people listening, you can't join it yet because probably when Frans publishes this podcast, it will be gone forever. But during that session, we will actually go into what are the challenges with implementing new functionality within an environment in a controlled manner. And there we actually make use of the deployment rings as well.
Yeah, but you can buy a ticket for the Workplace Ninja Summit. You can meet us all and have a conversation about the update rings, but also on Autopatch.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
One last thing. If I am a sysadmin, do I need to worry about the direction that Microsoft is moving, because enabling services like Autopatch and probably others coming up, do I need to worry about my day job? Because Autopatch is doing stuff for me.
Yeah, but that's a common fear that we hear. I think as an IT person in general, if you have the right mindset, you should have learned to adopt, and you will adopt in the future as well. There will always be a role. I mean, if you simply look at the Autopatch story, as we mentioned during the onboarding, there's an important role to make sure that everything is set to forget, because otherwise you might miss important devices. Yeah. There is still the reporting, the monitoring, the follow-up. There is still the managing of the exceptions. I mean, Autopatch, as I said in the beginning, one of the key factors is it frees up time for you to do more interesting things. And I bet you in every organization, there's a lot of interesting things to do for you as an IT admin. But you have to open up. You always have to keep learning. And I'm sure it won't take your job. That's
as a sysadmin, you need to be more interactive with your end users to know what they want, so you can act based on the things that they need to do their day job.
Yeah, and what I also want to add to this is that we were talking, for example, about the 1809 Windows machines. If you don't patch them, they, for an end user perspective, they continue to work. So these things are more actually in the proactive way of managing devices and handling security and stuff like that. But having all devices, if they still work and all the applications are running, the user is still a happy end user.
Yeah.
And I think that shift is now taking place, that we are actually obligated to patch machines and to be more proactive. And I think personally that our work will also shift from handling incidents and solving point incidents, to say so, to more proactive patching and doing stuff like that.
Yeah. Great. Thanks for being here. We will definitely meet up in Baden in Switzerland again, and probably we'll have another chit-chat at that event as well. So looking forward to that. Thank you for being here, and thank you for listening. Hopefully you get interested into this topic and see what happens in your environment if you turn it on. So thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.